Om Shanti. So this is our second session on Murli study for the day's Murli. And I was not quite comfortable with the official translation, so I took it upon myself to make a different translation, which just gives a different vibration, a different feel. So I'm going to be reading this one for you. So this is the 5th of December, 2023. The essence, sweet children, the Father, who is the benefactor, is now giving you such benefit that you will never need to experience distress. When you cry, it is a sign that you are experiencing distress and that you are allowing your perception of distressing circumstances to enter into your soul, and this causes you damage. A question: what predestined matter do you understand which enables you to remain free from anxiety? And the answer: you know that this old world is certainly going to collapse. And even though people make strenuous efforts to attain peace, yet man desires one thing and destiny dictates another. No matter how hard people try, they cannot do anything about what is destined. Natural calamities will occur, but you have the faith that you are protected, and you also know that whatever you saw in visions will take place in reality. Because you know what is to be, you can remain free from anxiety. Om Shanti. In society, people's understanding is that devotion is to be praised. And this is because culturally, devotion is considered the highest. But here, you do not consider it to be praiseworthy. It is not the highest. Here, you consider God to be the highest. God is the Father who is giving you the most elevated inheritance. On the path of devotion, there is no real benefit. Devotional people continue to remember heaven, as, for example, when someone dies, the survivors claim that he has gone to heaven. So if someone has gone to heaven, then people should feel happy about it. If a person has reincarnated in heaven, then the survivors should not respond to that by weeping in great distress. The truth of the matter is that they did not reincarnate in heaven, and this is a good reason why the survivors would feel to cry and weep in distress. Our task is to find a way to help people who are distressed by the death of their relatives and friends so that they can be benefited. Crying in distress is a sign of great sorrow. People do respond to catastrophic events by crying and wailing. And when a child is born, that child generally cries a lot, and this is because it experiences some kind of distress. When there is no distress, then definitely an individual experiences joy. Responding to circumstances by crying in distress happens when something bad is going on. In the Golden Age, no negative occurrences take place, and because of this, no one cries or wails. Nothing harmful can occur in the Golden Age. In the world today, sometimes a person's business fails, or sometimes people are unable to get food, which causes them great distress. And when a person experiences great distress, they respond by crying. Devotional people turn their attention to God and hope that He will protect them and give them what they need. The idea that God is omnipresent is in fact a very serious mistake. The Father is the benefactor of all, and He is the only one who brings benefit. That means He would actually cause benefit. You children know that the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, always performs acts that benefit people. The question is, when will the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul come such that He actually performs acts of benefit for people of the world? There is no one else who can benefit the whole world other than the Supreme Father. At the same time, people claim that this Father is omnipresent. So this is illogical and a great mistake. At this time, the Father is introducing Himself, and He gives the mantra Man Mana Bhav, which means join your mind in communion with His mind. There is great benefit when you do this. In the Golden and Silver Ages, under no circumstances could there be anything harmful or distressing. In the Silver Age, when it is the kingdom of Ram, it is said that the lion and the lamb drink water at the same pool. We will not praise the kingdom of Ram and Sita so much because there are 2 degrees less than in the Golden Age. This is an indicator that there is a slight reduction in the quality of life and the level of prosperity in comparison with the Golden Age. Because of this, we are more in favor of the Golden Age that is called heaven or Swarga, which is established by the Father. Therefore, in this, if you can practice this study and meditation to the point that you do attain the full golden-aged heaven, that is very good. The greatest benefit that we could possibly receive is to achieve the inheritance of heaven from the highest on high Father. Each Raj Yogi has to benefit his or her own self by applying Srimad. The Father has explained that there is one group which is called the community of those who are following the opposite ideology to Srimad, called Asurimat. They believe matter is the only reality and that sense perception is reliable. There is a second community which follows the guidance and concepts that are given by God. At the present time, it is the kingdom of Ravan, the rule of materialism, sensuality, reaction to sense impressions on one side, and then on the other side, there is the deity community of the Golden Age, which is in the process of getting established by God. It is not the case that the gathering of Brahma Kumaris is already the deity community. Rather, it is people from the Asuri community, the community of people who are not following Srimad, who are gradually being transformed into a deity type of person. I, God, am the one who changes people from this devilish community, Asuri community, and make them into divine people or deity type of people. It has to be said that the community of deities exists only in the Golden Age. The Father says, I am currently changing some from this community of devilish people and making them into a community of divine people for the future. At the present time, you can be called the Brahmin community, and you are in the process of being made into those of the deity community. Guru Nanak had also said that it does not take God a long time to transform ordinary human mortals into deities. However, the question is which people will be made into deities. Guru Nanak did not know the beginning, middle, and end of the drama. At the beginning of the world time cycle, Lakshmi and Narayan were the most elevated beings living there. However, they also did not know the beginning, continuation, and end of the world cycle. That means they were not the seers of the three aspects of time, and so they could not have the title Trikaldarshi. In their previous incarnation, they were Trikaldarshi. That means they knew the three aspects of time, which is also called Swadarshan Chakradhari, which means they were the possessors of the knowledge of the cycle of the self, or they could see the cycle of the self. Because of this, they had attained the status of kings. Hindu religious authorities depict Vishnu as holding the cycle of self-realization, the Swadarshan Chakra. You must also explain that it is Brahmins who hold the cycle of self-realization, and when you prove this, the devotional people and others will be amazed. Hindu religious authorities consider that Krishna and Vishnu are the holders of the cycle of self-realization. They do not know that Vishnu is the symbol of the couple Lakshmi and Narayan. We also did not know this. For all these beliefs, we can say that this is blind faith and it is destined. Anything which has to be and which is destined, you cannot do anything about it. We would say that it is fixed in the drama. So the first thing is to introduce the Father, or is it better to explain the secrets of the drama first? Since there is the question of the remembrance of the Father, you should first introduce people to the Father. He is the unlimited Father, and in fact, Shiv Baba is famous. They do not use the word Baba for Rudra, which is another name for Shiva, but the expression Shiv Baba is well known. The Father has explained that wherever there are devotees, you should go and explain this knowledge to them. Brahma Baba had read in the newspaper that people believe that the Himalayas are multi-million years old. Now, can we say that the Himalayas can be given an age? In fact, the Himalaya mountains have always been there. Can the Himalaya range ever vanish? This continent of Bharat is called imperishable. When could it have been created? In fact, it is not possible to determine its age. It is also not possible to determine the age of the Himalayan mountain range or to determine when it was formed. It is not possible to calculate the age of the Himalaya mountains. In the same way, you cannot say how old space is or how old the ocean is. If they say they can determine the age of the Himalayas, then they would also be able to determine the age of the oceans. And in fact, they do not know anything. So this is from Brahma Baba. And then again, quickly, we have Shiv Baba continuing. And he says, here, you can receive the inheritance from the Father. This is the godly family. You know that by becoming part of the Father's family, you can become the masters of the world of heaven. This is not a matter of one King Janak only. The attainment of Jivan Mukti, which is also called the attainment of Ram Rajya, is the right of many. All of you will attain Jivan Mukti, liberation in life. You are the ones making the spiritual efforts for attaining Jivan Mukti in 1 second. You have become my children, and you address me as the mother and the father. That means that you will receive Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means that you will have a life of absolute freedom. You can understand that a vast number of BKs will become the subjects. As the days go by, you are becoming progressively more influential. The process of establishing this dharma involves a great deal of effort. Those people who are the founders of the traditional religions come directly from above, and the souls of their communities follow them down from above. However, here, each and every person has to be individually made capable of achieving the kingdom. Each one has to be educated, each one has to be purified. So the work of making you competent and able can be accomplished by the Father alone. Those who had made themselves into the attainers of Mukti and Jivan Mukti had all been corrupted by Maya. They had all been corrupted by the 5 elements of matter, and the one who made them incorrupt is the Father. So in this, your last life, in the cycle, the spiritual efforts that you are making second by second would have also been accomplished in the same way in the previous kalpa by the same individuals. There are some who amazingly leave this study and practice, and they divorce the Father. You can see this happening practically. It has also been explained to you that the destruction of the world as we know it is standing in front of you. According to the predestined drama, all things must come into practical reality. There is a well-known saying that man proposes, but destiny happens the way it happens. Usually they say man proposes, but God disposes. But here Baba says, no, it's according to destiny, drama. Those people, the political and social leaders, desire that there should be peace, but it is destined otherwise, and you children know this. I had shown you visions of what is to come. It doesn't matter how hard the political authorities try to prevent the destruction, but you can do nothing against what is destined. There will be earthquakes and natural calamities. You can do nothing to prevent this. People believe that such occurrences are God's will, and amongst you there are very few who have such a level of consciousness that you can remain in remembrance at such times. Not all of you are at the same level of accomplishment. You know that you can do nothing about what is destined. It may happen that no food is available. It may happen that people have no shelter available, that not even 3 feet of land are available to live in. This is your godly family, the mother, the father, and the children. The father says, I have revealed myself in front of you children. I am teaching you children. And you children also say that we are acting according to the advice of our father. The father says, I have come face to face with my children, and I am giving you teachings. You children understand this. If you don't understand it, then leave it. It is not useful to just keep struggling. We are giving the introduction of the Father, and the Father says, remain in my remembrance, and then your negative karma will be destroyed. And you must also remember to spin the cycle of self-realization. If you do this, then you will become a master over the whole world. This is the meaning of the mantras Manmana Bhav and Madhyaji Bhav. So Manmana Bhav, tune your mind to the mind of God. Madhyaji Bhav, remember Vishnu, the one in the middle, that is your aim and objective. Give the introduction of the Father, who explains the secret of the Creator and the creation. This is the most important matter. The Gita has been disempowered by this most serious mistake. The Father says, I am the one who benefits you, and I am called the benefactor because this is the great benefit that I bring. The scriptures do not contain information that benefits you. The first thing to do is to prove that God is one and tell people that they are in remembrance of him, but they do not know him. If you are to be in remembrance of God, then you need to know all about him and be introduced to him. You need to know where he is, and you need to know whether or not he comes. The inheritance of the Father would definitely be here on the earth, and he would give it to you here where it has to be experienced. You need the Father to be face to face with you. People celebrate Shivratri, the night of Shiva. Shiva is the Supreme Father of all souls. He is the creator, and he gives you new information. He is the one who knows the beginning, continuation, and end of the world time cycle. He is the highest on high teacher, and he transforms ordinary mortals into deities through teaching you Raj Yoga. You can say that we are teaching you what incorporeal God had taught us. In the Gita, at the beginning and at the end, the mantras Manmana Bhav and Madhyaji Bhav are stated. So he tells you this to prove that he actually comes and talks to people, and this is the main thing that he says. Focus your attention on me alone. Tune your mind to my mind, the mind of God, and remember what you are becoming, Vishnu. Madhyaji Bhav means that. You retain the information about the world drama and the Kalpatri in your understanding. These have to be explained in detail. The result of this is one thing, and that is that people are able to remember both the Father and the inheritance. Here it is a matter of just one thing. We are becoming the masters of the world. Anyone who benefits the world becomes the masters of the world as a result. you become the masters of heaven. You will not become the masters of hell. The world does not know that the creator of hell is Ravan. So Ravan means materialism and to be deceived by sense perception. The creator of heaven is the Father. Now the Father is telling you that death is standing in front of you. All people are at the end of their lives, and I have come to take all of you back to the home. You must remain in my remembrance, and then all of your negative karma will be destroyed. The soul is becoming pure and clean, and all of its contamination and corruption is being removed. Then incorporeal God will send us to the world of heaven. When you have faith in your understanding about this, then you can explain it to anyone, but you will not speak about this like a parrot. If you do have faith in this, then neither will you get emotionally distraught, nor will you become arrogant in the face of the catastrophes that are to come. If you become body conscious, it will corrupt you and make you unclean. Now, you must become soul conscious. You must work for the livelihood of your body. The Hindu sannyasis believe they can renounce any kind of karma, but here you do not practice that method. You remain in the context of your household and your work. You take care of your children. It is very easy to understand the cycle and to understand the Father. The Father has a lot of children. Some are very good, and some go against him. There are some who ruin his reputation. They dirty their faces by breaking their celibacy. The Father says, do not do this. Once you become my child, then you must keep your face clean and remain in a life of purity. Do not defame the reputation of this clan. When you sit on the pyre of lust, it blackens your soul. You will not burn to death on the pyre of lust. You should also avoid even a trace of sexual attraction. The followers of the sannyasis cannot say such things, and they do not practice this level of purity in reality. The Father is telling you children matters that are all true. The Father says, be in my remembrance. You have been engaging in very unclean activities, and so you say to the Father, we will follow your directions, we will be pure, and we will become the dwellers of heaven. The Father says, children, in that case, do not even have the idea of making yourself unclean and throwing yourself into the gutter of lust. When you daughters speak in public about these things, the people will say that they have never heard such kind of spiritual knowledge. You must catch hold of the heads of the temples. Bring your pictures with you. The picture of the Trimurti and the tree are pictures of the Comforter of Hearts, so this refers to the temple of Dilvara. At the top of the tree, you can see the community of deities, and you can also see that this divine tree shows you what was there in the past. If anyone does this kind of service, then Baba will praise them and say that this one has done something wonderful. Baba praises Ramesh. He had invented the exhibition of pictures, and the service progressed very well as a result. You can display the exhibition here also. The pictures are very good. Here means Madhuban. Now, in Delhi, there is a religious conference going on, and in that they say that there should be just one race. They do not understand the meaning of that. The Father is one, and all the people of the world are brothers and sisters. Here, it is a matter of claiming your inheritance from the Father. And in this, the question is, how can the world become the land of milk and honey? This is something that needs to be explained and clarified. You need to have good strategies for expanding the exhibition. If you do not give proof of your service, then you should feel embarrassed. Suppose 10 new people start to study this and 8 people leave, then that was not that much success. Okay, acha. To the sweetest beloved, long lost and found again children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada, and the spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. The essence for dharana. 1. Maintain the practice to work for the livelihood of your body while remaining soul conscious. No matter how difficult circumstances become, do not drop into body consciousness, which would make you react emotionally and cry. 2. By following Shrimat, benefit yourself and others. Follow the Father, and through that, you will enhance his reputation. The blessing. Become an easy yogi, sahaj yogi, yogi in the context of people, by transforming meaningless thoughts into thoughts full of significance, and this will make you into a powerful soul. There are some children who think, my role is not so well displayed, I do not have good yoga, I am not able to become bodiless. Thinking like this is meaningless. Rather, you should change these thoughts and instead create thoughts full of meaning, such as, the state of being in remembrance is the real dharma of myself. I have been an easy Raj yogi every kalpa. If I do not become a yogi, then who will? Do not think and bemoan, thinking, what should I do? My body is not cooperating. My health is not good. Do not consider that your body is old and useless. No. Create thoughts that you can feel good about. Consider your body to be extraordinary, and then these thoughts will give you greater energy and you will empower yourself. The slogan. By creating pure feelings, it gives you the power to change the meaningless thoughts that other people have. Om Shanti. Thank you. So let me turn this over to Sister Rose, who is our moderator for the next part of this study.
Thank you so much, Sister Denise, for this presentation that you did about the murli. There are some points that I noted, like each Raj Yogi has to benefit his or her own self by applying Shrimat. So in this context, it is very essential to really understand what is Shrimat.
Exactly. Well, this word Shrimat is generally thought of in the BK world in quite a large quite a large range, and it includes the concepts, which are like the real Srimad, as in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but it also includes different niyams and maryadas and other things which have other names to define them, like principles and practices and restrictions and so on. And so because Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba together are instructing the BKs, all of that became collectively known as Srimad. And one of the problems that happens nowadays is that anyone who's in the position of a teacher can fall into the situation of telling other people what to do and then calling that Srimad. And that may be a little bit of a misrepresentation of Srimad. So I think it's good to use the words advice, recommendation, practices, and not use the word Srimad for everything to make it clear.
And in your previous classes, you have been actually clarifying that a lot of what really is Srimad. This point, you know that by becoming part of the Father's family, you can become the masters of the world of heaven. What does it really mean?
Well, the first thing is recognizing Baba. And quite frequently in the Avyat Murlis, when Baba was talking to us, he would say that the most important characteristic of all of you is that you recognize the Father. And so this is the characteristic that gets a person into heaven. And because recognizing Baba is crucial and key. And so it's quite a good question that I've been thinking about quite a lot. You know, do we really recognize Baba? Do I recognize Baba? And I think there are some people who are in the BK world and they don't recognize Baba. And there is this expression, amazingly, there are some who divorce the father, who leave. And thinking about it, I came to the conclusion that if you recognize Baba, you can't leave. You might get angry, fed up, take a break or whatever, but you can't actually leave because you know, you got it, you recognized. And by recognizing Baba, you also recognize yourself, because only those who can recognize God are the ones who recognize every cycle. They're the ones who go to heaven. But your position in heaven could be anything from Lakshmi and Narayan all the way to just a regular person who is in heaven, but not in any particular position. And this is why he talks about your status. He talks about number wise. And, you know, there are a lot of souls who come to Baba who are elevated souls in different religions. So they might like some of the knowledge, they might like the meditation, the yoga, but they may not recognize Baba to the point of being people of the world of heaven, but they may be very much still identifying with their religion that they were born into and become very elevated souls in that religion. So there are many different kinds of people who are all in this gathering of BKs.
Which is called the family?
Well, we call it the family. Sometimes Baba talks about the real children and the stepchildren, or the stepchildren may be the, sometimes I use the word, the illegitimate children, and that's a complication, but you know, Matali and Sotali. So Sotali is children who are born by a woman who is not the wife of the husband in the Locket world, right? And so if you're not the wife of the husband, that means you do not recognize that Shiv Baba is speaking through Brahma Baba, and consequently you wouldn't take it as absolute truth, or that you can't move away from it, something like that. That might make you someone who is born through a woman who is not the wife of the husband. So you can churn on that, but these are some thoughts that I have had about it to explain this difference, you know.
Another point also is about the earthquakes and the natural calamities, which we have been experiencing a lot here lately. And you can do nothing to prevent this. So the question is, what is the purpose of our having, for example, special meditation? Like every third Sunday, we have World Meditation Hour to serve matter.
Well, that's very important. Baba has told us we must serve the elements of matter because purification is going on. So the purification of matter is a consequence of our yoga. And purification of ourselves means that there's a purging going on, which very often results in some kind of illness and a kind of eruption in that way. And purification of matter, which has been very polluted and messed up and has also lost power. So naturally, I think as much as we serve the elements of matter, it also enables matter to regain its original power. And when matter is exploding and all these natural calamities, they're very unpleasant for human beings to be in the midst of, but we can also consider that it's a kind of purging of the impurities of the elements of matter, and at the same time the whole purification of the earth is accomplished through matter going into this state of showing its really destructive force. And of course, we're seeing it more and more, and we're also seeing the wars and the diseases that are all characteristic of the destruction. And so people think it's a really bad thing, and if you have meditation, everything will quieten down. But actually, I think that meditation makes it erupt more. So, but maybe you don't want to tell people that.
Another point, anyone who benefits the world becomes the master of the world. Is this equivalent to the line that says service is the basis of attaining the kingdom?
Well, yes, it is. And I think I'd like to give you the context of this statement. And it's to do with the work of Gandhi. And Baba used to talk quite a lot about Gandhi and what he was doing and how he was doing it and all the other people, because they were happening at the same time. There are many people who were doing a lot of work, including Tagore, for India. And so Gandhi used to say, I am creating Ram Rajya, which Shiv Baba also says. And Gandhi used to say that he wants independence. And Shiv Baba also uses the word Swarajya, which is translated normally as self-sovereignty, but it means independence. There's a lot of parallels. And what happened after independence was achieved in India in 1947, and the Congress Party took over, and it was all the people who had been working as activists in the work of overthrowing colonialism and attaining independence from colonial rule under British rule in particular. And so the people who do the work for achieving independence are the ones who get a position in the government that is formed after independence. And that was the case in India, and it's also the case in any part of the world which experienced colonialism and which had a revolution to overthrow colonial powers and then establish its own government. Those are the very same people who took that position. And then Baba says that, okay, here you are, you're not fighting against the government or anybody like that, but your enemy is Ravan. And you are fighting against the rule of materialism, the principles of current civilization, and all of this, and you're establishing a kingdom. And in your next birth, whatever you have done to make this happen on your own self, as well as service and benefiting other people, this is the thing that will determine your position in the society of heaven in the golden age. But of course you won't remember how you got there or what you did in the previous incarnation.
Okay. Thank you so much for that very clear explanation. I'm glad I asked that.
Okay.
There are some questions coming in through the Zoom. May I read it? In the Murli, the father says, I think this is from previous Murlis, not of today. I only come personally in front of my children and give them directions. Only my children would understand them. If you don't understand, this is today, then leave them alone. There is no need to fight. Please explain more about this. If you don't understand them, then leave them alone. There is no need to fight.
Well, there are many people, they listen to the Murli and they hear something that is beyond their range because of circumstances or because of their own capacity or various reasons. Even because other people may tell them, well, if you can't do it, you're a bad BK or something like that. And so he says, look, don't struggle over these things, because you need to know that this is a gradual process and you have to do this to the extent that you can, to the extent of your understanding, to the extent that you want to do it. And if something is just too difficult or out of your range or whatever, then don't worry about it. Don't take it too seriously and don't give yourself a hard time over it. It's like that.
Sister Denise, there's a follow-up question here regarding the calamities and the wars and the chaos, which we cannot do anything about. So what do we tell people then?
Well, that's what we tell people, that, this is the thing. You have a lot of people who are busy trying to stop climate change. And basically what people are thinking is that all forms of climate change are human-induced. And if you just get the humans to stop inducing climate change, it'll stop. But the thing is that there are many things that are human-induced, but by not doing it anymore, it's not going to stop it because it's too late. And secondly, there are a lot of things in climate change which are not human-induced. They're induced by time. And you can't do anything about it. You see, the problem is, what we're supposed to be telling people is that we are in the time of destruction and everything is changing. And the instruments of change are climate change is one thing. The civilization as we know it is about to be over and a new one is coming. We are facing instruments of the end of the current civilization that also involves the vast majority of people returning back to the soul world, and the time cycle is starting again. Now, these statements that we make are totally unbearable and unacceptable by people. And yet when we heard them, we are also just people, but yet we said, yeah, you're right, we think this is true. And, we become soul conscious, which means you really understand that I am a soul, so I cannot lose my existence. I will be either here or in the soul world or in heaven or in hell or somewhere, but I will always be there. And, this is something that can be recognized and understood by the ancient souls who have it inside their souls, in their sanskaras. We've been through this, endless times. We have a sense of immortality and so on, but souls who have come more recently, they may not have that. And so that's the majority of people. And so when you start talking like this, they don't like it. But yet, as the circumstances get more and more horrific, people start to want to know what's going on, and they become more open to the kinds of things that we're saying. And so lots of different BKs try different ways to say it in as palatable a way as possible, which is definitely the right thing to do. But eventually what we have to say is that this is it. This is World War III, World War IV coming up, natural calamities. And, there are so many movies and so much, conspiracy theories and so on, that all indicate the same thing. And so the thing is, what we're studying here is how to get through it without getting traumatized. Because if you don't do this, you will be really badly traumatized. And so this is called service. It's called benefiting people, enabling people to get through it without getting traumatized.
Another question from the Zoom. Although in Diamond Age, there are experienced BKs degenerating. What a pity. How come? Also, some BK centers get more to be Hindu temples, worshipping, etc., not Baba's spirit, right?
Mm-hmm. Why is that? What's going on? A lot of people have this kind of question. And I think it's inevitable that it should be like that, because everything goes through Sato, Rajo, Tamo. That's just the way it is. And, there is a phenomenon, which is that BKs are now very, very successful, especially in India, very, very successful. And the people who respond extremely positive to BK are those who are Hindus and devotional people. Sometimes Baba says devotion is going on really, really strongly. And so they like it better when BKs celebrate the festivals full on, and they are very close to the current Prime Minister of India, who is very favorable towards BKs, but he's a very devotional person. And so it's kind of inevitable that BKs want to be in their good books and so on, and be favored and so on, by becoming like this. And so some will go that way. But then there are many others who say, no, that's not why we're here. That's not what this is about. And I'm one of those. And so there are quite a few who say, no, let us try to stay true to Baba and what he's saying, and do our best to make it really relevant and to contextualize it in the current world. And, when we're talking about, say, world service, we're talking about serving all the souls of the world. And we're also talking about trying to enable people to make contact with God and to understand what he's talking about in a context that is sort of relevant for them. And this applies to people with a Hindu background just as well as people with a non-Hindu background. So there are quite a lot of us who are wanting to pursue that kind of way. But when you have an organization which has so many, many people, and of course, Baba says they're all number-wise, that means some of them understand it, a lot of them maybe not understand it quite so well. And so it's inevitable that it should take this turn. And I think one of the reasons why we're doing this Murli study group in this way, why we're doing EGY, which is Explorations of Jnana and Yoga, is an attempt to just kind of focus on the essence of all this and try and move forward ourselves. And then whatever the other people are doing, then that's okay for them. So something like that.
This is a question from the past, Murli. What does it mean to donate your vices?
It means give them up, It's like a kind of euphemism, but it just means give it up because they're in your way. So try and let go of them.
Okay. So far, Sister Denise, those are the questions. But it again is a very helpful reminder, this point that it's not the case that the gathering of the BKs is already the deity community.
Yes. It's interesting because in the Murli that we heard, the Abhyat Murli transmission that we heard last week, Baba also mentioned the same thing, and he asked the question, do you think that you can become the masters of the world without going through destruction, without going back to the soul world? Do you think that you can just become the ruling masters here and now? Or do you think that you will do this in a completely renewed world and you will have to leave your bodies and go back to the soul world and come down in a completely rejuvenated world where you will not know who or what you were in the confluence age? So that statement I thought was quite interesting, quite relevant to what we were talking about in the previous question, because maybe there are some people who think, yeah, we can take our positions here and now, and we don't have to have destruction. Maybe destruction is for other people, but not for us. I don't know, different people thinking differently, but I think that Baba is letting us know that he's not fooled by anyone.
And that reminder is actually very helpful in terms of bringing us down, grounded.
Yes.
Here.
I think so. Yeah.
So far, Sister Denise, those are the questions. Yeah.
Okay, well, very good. So thank you very much to everyone who is with us. And I know there are some time zones where this is not a very convenient time, but I will edit this and post it on my YouTube channel so that you can listen to it again. And have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will try and do this regularly on Tuesdays until and unless there is some interruption. So lots of love to all, and Om Shanti. And thank you very much, Sister Rose, and all our translators and everyone who has made this possible. Let's complete with a moment of silence together and see you all very soon. Thank you, and Om Shanti.
Shanti.